Rachel Williamson, welcome to Forces Sport. It's very peculiar because the last time I was in this exact same situation was almost exactly 2 years ago. We came to speak to you about the Hague being postponed for the first time. Here we are 2 years later. You're still captain. You haven't been fired, as you pointed out, but that is what you are, Team UK captain for Invictus Games, but seems to be like an endless job. But how are you faring sort of 2 years on from that appointment?
I'm surprised it's still going. It's been a very long journey, and yeah, it's been postponed twice now, the games, and third time lucky it will be going ahead next month. So yeah, it's starting to become real now. We're getting to that phase where we're finalising everything and starting to enjoy it more.
As an athlete, how do you remain on standby for 2 years? Because the slowest starting gun in history, it hasn't yet happened. So how do you stay sharp and focused?
I think, especially during the pandemic, I had to respect the team and just make sure that everyone looks after themselves, more importantly. And time will come with the games, but especially being that long, we just had to have a little break, refocus ourselves, look after ourselves and our families. And as soon as we regrouped late last year, now it's time to get back into that Invictus mindset and start getting back into training.
And a lot of that sort of looking after your team was having to be done online, like the rest of us having to do Zoom chats and all the rest of it. But Invictus were brilliant and Help for Heroes in facilitating online training sessions and even setting up an app where you could compete with international athletes as well. So you threw yourself headfirst into that, so to speak, didn't you?
Definitely. I tried to keep myself busy because the last thing we want is just to be sat there probably eating too many Doritos, watching too many films and just forgetting all about why I'm actually doing it in the first place. And yeah, it's one of those where it's picking up a bit more. We had all that online training, which really did help, and we didn't force anybody to do it, but naturally I just like to do what I get offered and just enjoy it and just stay busy, and that's exactly what I did.
And like most elite athletes in this situation, you adopted a penguin, is that right?
Elite athlete, I like that. Yes, my friend got me a penguin, adopted me.
Are you still in touch with the penguin?
We are through mail,
Yeah.
I don't write all the time, but I know in my heart that they are there and they're safe.
Oh, that's important. And knowing that penguin is there, when it comes to the Hague, how much difference will that make to you?
Just to know there's a penguin out there that just knows they've got someone that's looking after them and looking out for them. I think that really is helping me to go forward and have a positive mindset.
Moving away from the penguin, would you say that in the same way that a lot has changed over the last couple of years, and we laugh about the fact that you'll be the longest living Team UK longest serving Team UK captain. But you do have a certain responsibility, and you did have that responsibility during COVID to sort of look after your team. And I know a lot of the personnel had changed, since what was selected 2 years ago. But did you feel that extra responsibility, to support them like you had your penguin for support?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to make sure they were aware that they still had all of us to reach out to if they wanted to speak to us, and to have the access to any help that they needed as well. And so I stayed in contact. I messaged every member individually, probably every other month, just to give them, so I didn't want to flood them too much, but just to make sure that they are in an okay place and they're just getting by, and just make sure they're aware that I'm still here if they need to have a talk. And if there's any help they need, we can reach out if needed. Yeah,
as military people, I'm sure they're well used to being on standby and then something being postponed or put back. But at the time, did you think, gosh, this is 2 years?
Well, at the time, I didn't expect this to go on for this long, to be honest. It's when we had the first postponement, we weren't even sure if the games were going to be going ahead again, because we just wasn't sure, and the previous games in Dusseldorf were already in the planning. And so when we found out they were going to be rescheduled for 2021, we were like, great, this is amazing, won't have long to go. And then finding out with the pandemic still going on and being postponed a second time, I think that hit us harder, and it was just, what do we do? Is it going to go ahead? Will we have the time to actually get back into training, or do we have to reapply for the next games? But luckily, everything worked out, and they've managed to find another date for this April, and third time lucky, we will be going to The Hague.
And during that time, I know that there was a bit of a question mark over, because personnel had changed and because, charities have taken a bit of a battering, during lockdown as well, whether sort of actually physically you could get a team out there. But presumably now that sort of, we all know that you're going, but was that a worrying time as well, that, even if it did go ahead, Team UK wouldn't necessarily be able to get there?
Definitely. We still had to reach out for funding, and luckily we have great sponsors now that's helped us all the way through the pandemic and are helping us get out there as well. So it just all worked out in the end, but definitely at the time we just weren't sure at all, and we just had to, I tried to keep the team away from the sponsor side and just make sure they look after themselves, but I knew that there was a chance that it wasn't going to go ahead, but luckily it's all worked out definitely for the better, and we're definitely going.
Well, as an Invictus athlete, you made your name in the pool. That's where you've won the majority of your medals, and you'll be back in the pool again at the Hague. But also you've taken on another sport. What's the sport that you're going to be competing in this time around? So
my new sport is athletics, doing discus in throwing.
And how does one train for discus during lockdown? Because you're swimming and rowing, I can sort of see.
Not got the biggest gun.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, are the neighbours quite accommodating? Do they throw it back to you when it's landed?
I don't know if my aim is quite perfect just yet, but yeah. So swimming, you can't exactly train in a bath, and I just made sure I just practiced drills in my kitchen, just doing the footwork as such, and I mainly just concentrated on general body circuits. Nothing. The sort of the sports side of training will happen at a later stage. But no, I love the discus.
Did the team approach you and say, we're a bit short of a discus thrower, what do you like? Or how did that evolve? How is it that you're throwing the discus this time round?
It's quite embarrassing.
When I went to a plane, I thought
it's all right, you're amongst friends here, so you can
It's fine. So when I went to Sydney, I realised...
For a boomerang?
No, I realised there's a field in the middle of an athletics track and you throw stuff. And I knew athletics had throwing, but I didn't realise sort of Invictus did that side of it. I just heard athletics and thought running, and I was like, I'm not running. And then the coach actually said, why didn't you, do athletics for Sydney? And I was like, well, I just didn't realise. And so I said, if I was ever going to apply a second time, I would look into it. And I thought, yeah, let's do it. And it's really good fun, actually.
Oh, good for you. Fantastic.
That's interesting as well, because I wondered, because the personnel has changed, how much was there? I doubt there's any pressure, but was there sort of, oh gosh, we've got gaps in here? Because Invictus does work like that. They actually really encourage people to be multi-sport faceted, and because the schedule works really well to sort of make sure they accommodate all those multi-sports people, that isn't unusual that people are called in at the last minute and say, well, you must be able to do this. That people are quite multi-skilled in a way.
Yeah, we do encourage everyone that has an interest in Invictus just to look at all the sports available, because you'll be surprised how adaptive they are and how much fun you'll find that you can actually do this sport that you never thought of before. And yeah, we all go through sort of classifying, where in case there is a gap in a team sport, that you can, even though you may not know what you're doing, but you can actually fill a gap and just have fun with it. So yeah, we can, if needed, we can go into other ones.
Is it inevitable that you're on this sporting journey? Because prior to joining the RAF, you were on another sporting journey. You hoped to compete for, was it England in the Commonwealth Games in the swimming pool?
My aim was for the Olympics.
Right.
The 2008 Beijing Olympics. And I was a swimmer competitively from 13 to 17. And I had this national ambition from 13-year-old to this Olympic ambition from 16, 17-year-old. And all my fellow friends were GB athletes. They were all working their way up into the Commonwealths, into the Olympics. And it was my turn next, but unfortunately when I did the Commonwealth Trials finals, I hit the ball a little bit too slow and I missed my opportunity.
Just by a flicker of a finger sort of thing.
So did the hunger of missing out on that, has that played into what you're doing now? You're team captain for the Invictus squad. You're achieving gold medals. Does that play on the mind, and does it give you that extra hunger?
Probably in a different way nowadays. I think back then it was all about performance and wanting to strive to get to the highest level possible. And after swimming, I actually banned myself from sport.
You banned yourself from sport?
Yeah, obviously I'm not very good at banning myself.
Well, yeah, now you're doing like all the sports.
But
So maybe you needed that ban to love it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you fall out of love with sport?
I think I just thought, well, I've failed myself and my family and I don't deserve to have fun anymore. As bad as that sounds, I really thought I've lost my opportunity. That's what myself and my family and my coaches all aimed for. And just because I hit the wall a little bit too slow, that was the opportunity lost. And so when I joined the military, I realised, let's try and do sport again. And I sort of represented in swimming and rugby. And that's when I realised maybe swimming isn't for me anymore. I sort of got bored of the smell of chlorine. I kept it's bad stuff. Yeah. And I kept thinking I'm not as fast as I used to be and comparing myself. And it was only really because of getting injured that I found sport in a new way, that it can actually help you rather than the performance side. It's more for fun and just to enjoy it as best you can.
And that's what the Invictus movement is all about, really, isn't it? That's the selling point. You're doing this for fun and making friendships. Yeah,
definitely. It's I've got friends for life just from going through this Invictus journey, and yeah, I honestly wouldn't know where I'd be if I wasn't doing it.
You've also got a penguin as well. So.
But it's what you needed possibly back then when you fell out of love with swimming the first time. Perhaps what you needed then was the mental strength that you have now that you've learned through injury and through Invictus. Do you ever think, gosh, we all think, God, I wish I'd had that strength when I was younger, but do you wish that you'd had that learning back then to deal with the disappointment that you possibly have learnt and instill in others these days?
Yeah, definitely. I think back then there wasn't much scope into sort of mental health or how to get over like your event if it doesn't go to plan, have this plan B or have this sort of different side of the mentality, where nowadays I see it from different perspectives. But yeah, definitely back then it was just, if you win, you win. If you don't, you lose. And that's it. You weren't good enough and you had to win again. Where now it's, I understand you have good days and bad days. But if you get up and, that's one step every day into small goals that go towards the bigger ones.
You'll know from your rugby days that when you finish the match, you'll go and shake the opponent's hand and maybe have a beer or something. Is that what the Invictus Games are like? Is it a bit of a festival for sport? Do you get on with the other nations, the other athletes after you've been competing with them?
Oh, definitely. That's when you realise that it's not just the UK team are doing it. We have 19 other countries involved, and that's when you realise just because you're injured, someone on the other side of the world is also injured and using sport and Invictus for similar reasons, and you have this connection. And it's like having this Invictus family but worldwide, and you can just talk easy to each other and just say, this is my background, what's yours? This is so similar and this is how we've met, and yeah, it's a great connection to have.
The Hague I've been speaking to their CEO, I've been speaking to the Invictus Games Foundation. I've never known a country so keen to host it the first time round, and here we are sort of 2 years on, and
it's because they've got a load of merchandise they need to get rid of.
I know, it's going out of date, yeah. But no, they're so keen, and I think I know they've had time to produce, but a lot of the sort of social media that I've been watching is so like they are really gunning for it. I mean, it almost feels like this is a rebirth of the Invictus Games because we've been so disconnected from it for such a while. But how much are you looking forward to the experience in The Hague in specific? We all know you're going to enjoy the Invictus experience, but The Hague, people know it for something completely different than, a sporting event. But, you're looking forward to being there. And also the Netherlands have been such fierce competitors over the years as well. They'll put on a really good show, I'm sure.
Definitely. I've heard it's going to be an amazing, spectacular event, and it's the first big event that they've had since the pandemic for themselves as well. And I think it's until we step on the ground out there and you're in that atmosphere and you see all the other nations and your family and friends, and it's gonna be emotional that we finally made it after all this time. And yeah, I definitely cannot wait. It's getting closer and closer, and yeah, it's just going to be an experience. It's just going to be like nothing else.
The movement, of course, is the brainchild of Prince Harry. What's it like having a figurehead like that with such energy, such passion for Invictus behind you, willing you all to go and participate?
I think it's amazing, especially when you've got someone that's been in the military themselves, that has seen people affected with physical or mental injuries or illnesses, and for him to have that sort of mindset now that actually sport can be used in this amazing sort of recovery role, it purely is inspirational to have that sort of mindset in the background that really just spur you on.
And incredible as well that given, his stepping back from the royal family, one thing that he didn't lose and he would have been heartbroken to have lost would have been the Invictus Games, but that wasn't a royal patronage, so he's been able to keep hold of that. That must mean a lot to you and the Invictus family as well. Yeah,
definitely. It's great just to have him as the patron going forward, and to have this person that's been there from the start, from day one. And so he got the idea from the Warrior Games in America, and that's how it sort of progressed, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, and more people are being more aware of the actual Invictus word itself and how the games really do help the serving and veteran personnel.
Oh, I was going to say you do 3 sports because some of it's over there in the corner. Well, certainly the rowing machine. So you row, you swim, and now you do the discus. Is there any dovetailing between the 3, or does one discipline help with the other? Shoulder, I'm imagining, probably helps with discus. Does it?
Yeah, I think I've got the rugby shoulder and a swimming
shoulder.
Rugby shoulder,
so, yeah, there we are.
I think that helps.
I thought that was more for the drinking at the bar.
That's bicep. But they kind of join together. I think sometimes you find that rowing, you shouldn't really be doing heavy weights, where you probably do more weights for discus. But no, I think I'm just trying to get a little bit fitter, a little bit healthier, and just enjoy these sports for what they are.
And the conditioning that you had getting up early in the mornings when you were wanting to go for that Olympic spot, does that help you now when you think, I can't really be bothered, but I probably should do something?
To be honest, no.
No, okay.
I'm terrible in the mornings.
Right.
I'm not a morning person at all. Everyone will say, don't talk to me before 10 because I'm just grumpy.
I'm glad we got her.
But I think nowadays I probably want more sleep. I think I'm getting older and everything. But no, I think the discipline is still there. I still want to do the best I possibly can and put 100% effort into everything I go for.
And the pep, the captain's log, that's got to be upbeat. You can't be writing that before 10 in the morning, can you? So the captain's log, of course, it's just your way of hashtagging all your updates about Invictus, and that's been obviously something that's had to continue as well. But you're still enjoying that sort of daily ritual?
Yeah, definitely. I did it once and I thought, this is hilarious, captain's log. And then little did I know I'll still be doing it, 2 years later. But no, I always make sure I sort of send a message out across all social media every day and just put what we're doing and how everyone's getting on and some photos. So it's great.
I feel like they're going to have to prize the captaincy out of it.
Well, I was going to say, the appointment of you being made captain, what were your emotions, what were your thoughts when they said, we want you to be skipper?
Probably unbelievable, literally. Everyone has.
Because you were in the pub at the time? Or?
No, I actually broke down the day before and my dad had to take me because you go for an interview. Oh, right. And anyone could apply. You just say, whether you want to be captain, vice captain, yes to both or no to both. And I knew if I was going to go for a second time, I'm going to give myself that shot. Whether I knew it was going to happen, I did not know at all. And I was told, yes, I'm going for an interview. And my dad had to take me down because my car broke the day before. So, it was a very...
Hang on, so you didn't emotionally break down the day before?
It was the car broke.
My car broke down. I was probably still emotional trying to talk to insurance people on the way down. It was a great distraction. And I had this interview and you can't really prepare for it. It's just one of those, you go in and you just do your best shot and you just answer open and honestly. And I found out I got the position driving home that evening.
Because your predecessors had been officers, hadn't they?
Yeah,
and men.
And men.
Well, yeah, and men. But yeah, I wondered if did that play on your mind that obviously you're going to be leading a group into a tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I've sort of never led in my life, to be honest. I've sort of learnt as I've gone along, but I knew if they had sort of belief that I could do this role, then maybe I need to start believing in myself a bit more that I can do this as well. And yeah, it's amazing to be the first female captain ever. What an honour. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, I definitely think I've learnt to be a captain along the way. And I'm still in the role, so I must be doing something right.
And we can't leave without mentioning the tattoo, because everyone will remember the tattoo. And you were talking about merchandise, having to sell merchandise. Well, Her tattoo's 2 years out.
I mean, isn't there a show where you can have your tattoos amended? Do you want to get a different number on?
No, because you don't. I mean, you don't regret it, do you? And I think that's part of the joke now is that she.
Just the last number, perhaps.
Well, I just wondered whether you're going to get, and I'm sure you've been asked this sometimes, whether you're actually going to get the 22 in there, or are you just sticking with the fact that it's branded 2020, so therefore.
I think rather than going ahead, I think I wanted to make sure I go to the games and it happens, because there's only so many numbers I can have on my arm. Otherwise, I end up,
like
going
a
all
barcode.
over. Yeah,
Supermarket.
definitely. But no, it is a running joke that I got the Hague 2020 and a C for captain, and now it means 2020 we had COVID. So yeah, I'm keeping it as it is for now, and yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see in the future whether I start adding years on or putting a P and a T after the C to make it a captain. I'm not sure yet.
And hopes, expectations of the Hague, what are you looking forward to most?
Getting there.
Right.
I think just because of the journey that we've been on, I think I'm just looking forward to being there in that moment at the opening ceremony, seeing all the other athletes and their friends and family, and just soaking it all up.
And has we should mention that we're sort of in the middle of a whole of every weekend has been training weekends, and as the captain, have you been sort of required to be at most of them and keep that energy up as well?
Yeah, I've been to every training camp that my sport's involved in, which is 3 out of 4 every month, and I normally use that 1 month just to have a little rest and sleep and catch up on housework and all the boring stuff. But no, it's great. I've absolutely loved every training camp. We have such a laugh, and it's starting to click now that we're finalising our sports and we're getting ready to go out.
Great. Well,
wish you every success.
Absolutely.
That's going to come your way, and you're not allowed home unless you bring some gold medals with you. It's not from me. That was the penguin.
See what I can do.
Yeah, Rachel, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in The Hague, of course, but we'll make sure that this gets out worldwide. So that it's seen well in advance of the tournament. But good luck, and we'll see you there.
Amazing, thank you.
Perfect.